Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk, staring at a blank document. Your heart is racing, not because you're excited, but because you're overwhelmed. The task ahead of you, writing that report, starting that business plan, or even just organizing your inbox, feels like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops. And yet, deep down, you know it's not the task itself that's stopping you. It's something deeper, something inside your brain whispering, "This is too hard. Do it later." Sound familiar? Here's the truth. Your brain isn't broken. It's just lazy. Evolution didn't design us to thrive on challenges. It designed us to survive. Our ancestors weren't rewarded for solving complex equations or building businesses. They were rewarded for conserving energy and avoiding danger. Fast forward to today, and we've got the same ancient wiring trying to navigate a world that demands constant growth and innovation. No wonder doing hard things feels, well, so hard. But what if I told you there's a way to hack your brain? A method so powerful that it forces your mind to stop resisting and start craving challenges. This isn't some fluffy self-help theory. It's a proven system called the Lotus method. And by the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to implement it in your own life. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how some people seem unstoppable? They wake up early, crush their goals, and tackle challenges head-on while the rest of us hit snooze 5 times and scroll through social media. What do they know that we don't? It's simple. They've mastered the art of rewiring their brains to embrace discomfort instead of running from it. The good news, you can do it too. In fact, science shows that with the right strategy, anyone can train their brain to perform at its peak, even when the task feels impossible. Stick around, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the Lotus method works and how you can use it to push past procrastination, unlock your full potential, and finally, start doing those hard things you've been putting off. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. So why does your brain throw a tantrum every time you try to do something difficult? To answer that, we need to take a quick trip back in time to the days when our ancestors roamed the earth dodging saber-toothed tigers and hunting for food. Back then, survival depended on conserving energy. Our brains evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over long-term gains, because expending unnecessary energy could mean the difference between life and death. Fast forward thousands of years, and here we are, carrying around these ancient operating systems in our heads while living in a world that demands innovation, discipline, and delayed gratification. Here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams, your goals, or your 5-year plan. All it cares about is keeping you safe, comfortable, and alive. That's why scrolling through TikTok feels so much better than writing that essay, or why binge-watching Netflix seems far more appealing than hitting the gym. These activities provide instant hits of dopamine, the feel-good chemical that floods your brain whenever you do something pleasurable. On the flip side, hard tasks often require effort without an immediate payoff, which makes them feel like punishment rather than progress. Now, let's talk about what happens when you give in to this resistance. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, your brain reinforces that behavior. It's like training a puppy. If you reward laziness by avoiding hard work, your brain will keep barking at you to stay on the couch. Over time, this creates a cycle of procrastination, where even small tasks start to feel insurmountable. But here's the silver lining. Just as you can train a puppy to sit, you can retrain your brain to crave challenges instead of dreading them. Take Serena Williams, for example. Widely regarded as one of the greatest tennis players of all time, Serena didn't achieve greatness by avoiding hard things. She achieved it by embracing them. Early in her career, she faced countless setbacks, from injuries to self-doubt. But instead of letting her brain convince her to quit, she learned how to push through discomfort. She once said, "I really think a champion is defined not by their wins, but by how they can recover when they fall." That resilience didn't come naturally. It came from years of conditioning her mind to see obstacles as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. And guess what? You don't have to be Serena Williams to develop that same mental toughness. The key lies in understanding how to override your brain's default settings. Instead of fighting against its natural tendencies, you can use them to your advantage. This is where the Lotus method comes into play. By leveraging principles rooted in neuroscience and psychology, This method teaches you how to trick your brain into seeing hard things as rewarding, not draining. Think about it this way. If you've ever gone for a run and felt that runner's high afterward, you've experienced how effort can lead to euphoria. The Lotus method takes that concept and applies it to any area of your life, whether it's launching a business, mastering a new skill, or simply sticking to a morning routine. This approach helps you build momentum one step at a time. And the best part, once you get started, you'll realize that doing hard things isn't nearly as painful as your brain made it seem. Are you ready to learn how to rewire your brain and unlock your full potential? In the next section, I'll break down the science behind the Lotus method and show you exactly how it works. Trust me, this is going to change everything. Now that we've established why your brain resists hard tasks and how people like Serena Williams have trained themselves to overcome that resistance, it's time to dive into the real magic, the science behind the Lotus method. This isn't some mystical technique or vague motivational jargon. It's a system grounded in neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral economics. Let me break it down for you step by step. First, let's talk about progressive overload for mental strength. If you've ever been to the gym, you've probably heard this term before. It's the idea that muscles grow stronger when they're gradually pushed beyond their current limits. The same principle applies to your brain. Just as lifting heavier weights builds physical endurance, tackling increasingly challenging mental tasks strengthens your cognitive resilience. For example, if you've been avoiding writing that book because it feels overwhelming, start with something smaller, like jotting down 5 ideas in 5 minutes. Over time, those small efforts compound, and what once felt impossible becomes achievable. But here's the catch. Your brain hates big leaps almost as much as it hates discomfort. That's where the second principle comes in, micro-commitments to build momentum. A micro-commitment is exactly what it sounds like, committing to doing something so tiny that your brain can't find an excuse to resist. Want to run a marathon but hate running? Start by putting on your running shoes. Need to clean out your garage but feel paralyzed by the mess? Commit to picking up just 3 items. These seemingly insignificant actions create a ripple effect. Once you take that first step, your brain shifts from "I don't want to" "Okay, I'm already doing it." Before you know it, momentum carries you forward. The third pillar of the Lotus method is visualization as a catalyst for action. Visualization isn't just for athletes or performers. It's a powerful tool anyone can use to prime their brain for success. Studies show that mentally rehearsing a task activates the same neural pathways as physically performing it. So, before you tackle that hard thing, take 2 minutes to vividly imagine yourself succeeding. Picture the finished project, hear the applause, feel the sense of accomplishment. This pre-game ritual tricks your brain into believing the task is already within reach, making it easier to get started. Let's bring this to life with an analogy. Imagine you're standing at the base of a mountain, staring up at the summit. Climbing it all at once seems impossible, right? But what if someone handed you a map showing each switchback, each rest point, and each milestone along the way? Suddenly, the climb doesn't seem so daunting. The Lotus method works the same way. It breaks down the mountain into manageable steps while giving your brain the tools it needs to stay motivated. And here's the best part. You don't need special skills or resources to implement these principles. They're simple, actionable, and designed to work with the way your brain is naturally wired. Take Sarah, a freelance graphic designer who struggled with meeting deadlines. She started using the Lotus method by committing to work on her projects for just 5 minutes a day. Within weeks, she was consistently finishing assignments ahead of schedule, not because she had more time, but because she'd rewired her brain to stop resisting and start creating. By now, you might be wondering, how do I actually put this into practice? Don't worry, I've got you covered. In the next section, I'll walk you through a step-by-step guide to implementing the Lotus method in your daily life. Whether you're trying to write a novel, learn a new language, or finally organize that cluttered closet, these strategies will help you push past procrastination and unlock your full potential. Are you ready to turn theory into action? All right, it's time to roll up your sleeves and get practical. The Lotus method isn't just a theory, it's a roadmap you can follow today to start rewiring your brain for success. Let's break it down into clear, actionable steps so you can start implementing it right away. Step 1. Identify one hard thing to tackle. The first step is simple but crucial. Pick one thing that feels hard. Maybe it's starting a side hustle, learning how to code, or even committing to a daily meditation practice. Whatever it is, make sure it's specific and meaningful to you. Why? Because vague goals like be more productive or get better at life don't give your brain enough direction to work with. Instead, choose something concrete, like writing 300 words a day, practicing Spanish for 10 minutes, or decluttering one drawer in your kitchen. Here's a pro tip. Start small. If you aim too high too soon, your brain will rebel. For example, if you've never run before, signing up for a marathon next month probably isn't realistic. But committing to walk around the block 3 times this week, totally doable. Remember, the goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. Step 2. Break it into micro tasks using the 2-minute rule. Once you've identified your hard thing, the next step is to chop it into bite-sized pieces using the 2-minute rule. This rule states that any task should be broken down into actions so small they take no more than 2 minutes to complete. Why 2 minutes? Because your brain can't argue with something that quick. It's almost impossible to say, I don't have time for that. Let's say your hard thing is writing a book. Instead of telling yourself, I need to write chapter 1, reframe it as, I'll open my laptop and type 1 sentence. Or suppose you're trying to eat healthier. Rather than vowing to overhaul your entire diet, commit to drinking 1 glass of water when you wake up. These micro tasks are deceptively powerful because they lower the barrier to entry, making it easier to get started. And once you start, inertia takes over. You'll often find yourself doing far more than you initially planned. Step 3. Visualize success. Before you begin, before diving into your task, take a moment to visualize yourself succeeding. Close your eyes and imagine what completing the task will look like, feel like, and sound like. Will you cross off an item on your to-do list with a sense of pride? Will someone congratulate you on a job well done? Will you finally see the results of all your hard work? This visualization process does 2 things. First, it primes your brain to focus on the positive outcomes rather than the effort required. Second, it creates a mental blueprint for success, making the task feel less intimidating. Think of it like rehearsing for a play. The more familiar you are with the script, the smoother the performance. Step 4. Reward yourself strategically after completion. Finally, don't forget to celebrate your wins, even the small ones. Rewards aren't just about feeling good. They're a way to reinforce the behavior you want to repeat. Every time you complete a micro task, give yourself a little treat. It could be as simple as taking a 5-minute break to scroll through Instagram, enjoying a piece of chocolate, or giving yourself a mental pat on the back by saying, "Great job." But here's the key. Make sure the reward aligns with your values and doesn't sabotage your progress. For instance, if your goal is to lose weight, rewarding yourself with a giant bowl of ice cream might not be the best idea. Instead, opt for non-food rewards, like watching an episode of your favorite show or spending time outdoors. Consistency is king when it comes to the Lotus method, but consistency doesn't mean grinding yourself into the ground. In fact, pushing too hard too fast can lead to burnout, which defeats the purpose. To avoid this, schedule regular check-ins with yourself to evaluate how you're feeling. Are you still excited about your goal? Do you need to adjust your approach? Be flexible and kind to yourself along the way. And remember, progress isn't linear. Some days you'll crush your goals. Other days you'll barely scrape by. And that's okay. What matters most is showing up consistently, even if it's just for 2 minutes at a time. By now, you should have a clear plan for how to implement the Lotus method in your own life. But before we move on, let's address some common mistakes people make when trying this approach and how you can avoid them. Trust me, knowing these pitfalls ahead of time will save you a lot of frustration down the road. Ready to learn what not to do? Now that you've got the blueprint for implementing the Lotus method, let's talk about the landmines, those sneaky mistakes that can derail your progress if you're not careful. Even the best systems can fail if you fall into these traps, so pay close attention. Mistake number 1, setting unrealistic goals. One of the biggest pitfalls people encounter is biting off more than they can chew. Sure, ambition is great, but overloading, Yourself with unrealistic expectations sets you up for failure before you even begin. For example, deciding to wake up at 4 a.m., meditate for an hour, hit the gym, and write 2,000 words before breakfast might sound impressive, but it's unsustainable for most people. Instead of aiming for perfection, focus on consistency. Start with one small habit or task and build from there. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. How do you avoid this mistake? Use the 80% rule. Only commit to what you know you can achieve 80% of the time. This gives you room to breathe without feeling guilty if life throws you a curveball. Mistake number 2, skipping visualization. Visualization isn't just fluff, it's a critical part of the process. Yet, many people skip this step because it feels dumb or unnecessary. Big mistake. Without visualization, your brain lacks clarity on what success looks like, making it harder to stay motivated. Imagine trying to drive somewhere without GPS. You might eventually arrive, but the journey will be frustrating and inefficient. To avoid this error, carve out 2 minutes each day to mentally rehearse your tasks. Picture every detail. What does success look like? How will you feel when you accomplish it? The more vividly you imagine it, the easier it becomes to make it happen. Mistake number 3, multitasking. Here's a hard truth. Multitasking is the enemy of productivity. Studies show that switching between tasks reduces efficiency and increases stress. When you try to juggle too many things at once, your brain gets overwhelmed, and those hard tasks suddenly feel even harder. Instead of multitasking, practice monotasking. Focus on one thing at a time, giving it your full attention until it's done. If you're working on writing that report, close all other tabs on your computer and silence notifications. By eliminating distractions, you'll find it much easier to stay in the zone. Mistake number 4, letting perfectionism sabotage progress. Perfectionism is insidious. It convinces you that anything less than flawless is unacceptable, which often leads to procrastination or quitting altogether. But here's the reality. Done is better than perfect. Waiting for the perfect moment to start or obsessing over tiny details only delays your progress. Combat perfectionism by embracing the concept of good enough. Remind yourself that improvement comes through action, not endless preparation. As long as you're moving forward, you're on the right track. Mistake number 5, neglecting rest and recovery. Finally, one of the most overlooked aspects of productivity is rest. Pushing yourself non-stop without breaks leads to burnout, which makes doing hard things nearly impossible. Your brain needs downtime to recharge, just like your body does after a workout. To prevent burnout, schedule regular breaks throughout your day. Use techniques like the Pomodoro method, 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break, to maintain energy levels. And don't forget to prioritize sleep. It's the ultimate performance enhancer. By avoiding these common mistakes, you'll set yourself up for long-term success with the Lotus method. But understanding theory is only half the battle. To truly grasp its power, let's look at some real-life examples of people who have transformed their lives using similar principles. Now that we've covered the principles, pitfalls, and practical steps of the Lotus method, let's bring it all to life with some real-world examples. These aren't just stories. They're proof that anyone can rewire their brain to tackle hard things and achieve extraordinary results. And to make it even more impactful, I'm going to share how some of the most successful people in history used similar techniques to overcome challenges and reach their goals. Oprah Winfrey is a household name today, but her journey to success was anything but easy. Growing up in poverty, she faced countless hardships, including abuse and discrimination. Early in her career, she was fired from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Instead of letting this setback define her, Oprah used what we now recognize as a version of the Lotus method to rebuild her life. She broke her big goal, becoming a media powerhouse, into smaller, actionable steps. First, she committed to hosting a local talk show, even though it felt daunting. Then, she focused on connecting deeply with her audience, one episode at a time. Oprah also credits visualization as a key part of her success. She has often spoken about how she visualized herself succeeding long before it happened, imagining the impact she wanted to have on the world. By staying consistent and celebrating small wins along the way, she transformed her pain into purpose and built a multi-billion-dollar empire. Her story shows that no matter where you start, breaking down your dreams into manageable pieces can lead to incredible outcomes. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, J.K. Rowling was a struggling single mother living on welfare. She had an idea for a book but no clear path to making it happen. Writing a novel seemed overwhelming, especially given her circumstances, so she applied a principle similar to the Lotus method without even realizing it. She started by committing to write just 1 page a day. Some days she wrote more, other days she barely managed a paragraph, but she kept showing up, treating each session as a micro-commitment rather than an insurmountable task. Rowling also used visualization to stay motivated. She imagined her books sitting on shelves in bookstores around the world, which helped her push through the 12 rejections she received before finally landing a publisher. Today, Harry Potter has sold over 500 million copies worldwide, and Rowling is one of the most successful authors in history. Her journey reminds us that persistence, combined with small, intentional actions, can turn even the wildest dreams into reality. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, famously coined the term Mamba mentality to describe his relentless pursuit of excellence. But what many people don't realize is that Kobe's approach closely mirrors the Lotus method. Early in his career, he struggled with shooting consistency. Instead of getting discouraged, he broke the problem into smaller parts. He committed to practicing just one type of shot, like free throws or three-pointers, for hours at a time until he mastered it. Over months and years, these micro-commitments added up, turning him into one of the deadliest scorers in NBA history. Kobe also relied heavily on visualization. Before games, he would mentally rehearse every play, picturing himself executing perfectly under pressure. This mental preparation allowed him to perform at his peak when it mattered most. His dedication to incremental progress and mental conditioning proves that greatness isn't about talent alone. It's about training your brain to embrace the grind. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's journey to inventing the light bulb is a masterclass in applying principles like those in the Lotus method. Creating a functioning light bulb was an enormous challenge, but Edison didn't try to solve the entire problem at once. Instead, he broke it into smaller experiments, focusing on one material or design at a time. Each failure was a stepping stone, teaching him what not to do next. Edison also understood the power of visualization. He envisioned a world illuminated by electric light long before it existed, which fueled his determination to keep going despite setbacks. His story teaches us that doing hard things requires patience, resilience, and the ability to celebrate progress, even when it comes in the form of failure. These iconic figures, Oprah Winfrey, J.K. Rowling, Kobe Bryant, and Thomas Edison, didn't achieve greatness overnight. They embraced discomfort, broke their goals into manageable steps, and stayed consistent even when the odds were against them. Their journeys are living proof that the principles of the Lotus method can be applied to any area of life, whether you're building a business, creating art, or striving for athletic excellence. Here's the takeaway. If Oprah, J.K. Rowling, Kobe Bryant, and Thomas Edison could use these strategies to overcome obstacles and change the world, so can you. The Lotus method isn't reserved for the elite. It's a tool anyone can use to unlock their full potential. So, here's my challenge to you. Pick one hard thing you've been avoiding and commit to tackling it using the Lotus method. Break it into micro-tasks, visualize your success, and reward yourself along the way. Then come back to the comments below and tell me how it goes. I'd love to hear your story. Remember, the hardest part of any journey is taking the first step. But once you do, momentum takes over, and suddenly, those hard things don't feel so hard anymore. Now go out there and prove to yourself what you're truly capable of. Until next time, keep pushing forward. Your future self will thank you.